Singapore is a magnet for foreign entrepreneurs, with world-class infrastructure, business-friendly policies, and access to Southeast Asian markets. But here's what many discover after setup. Keeping your Singapore company compliant can feel overwhelming if you don't understand the system. Hi, I'm Jeffrey from Statrys, and in this video, I'll break down the key compliance requirements for Singapore companies so you know exactly what to expect. Now, before we jump in, here's the reality. Most entrepreneurs work with professional service providers to manage compliance. They handle filings, reminders, and documentation. But understanding the framework yourself gives you better control over costs, timing, and the responsibilities that rest with you as an owner. Here's why this matters. Even with a service provider, you're still ultimately responsible for your company's compliance. If deadlines are missed or your information is wrong, it's your company that faces penalties. Plus, when you understand what's required, you can spot and resolve problems before anything serious happens. Now, with that in mind, let's get started. Let's start with the essential positions that every Singapore company must appoint. First, you'll need at least one local director, sometimes referred to as a nominee director. This person must be a Singapore citizen, a permanent resident, or hold a valid employment pass tied to your company. Here's something important to know. Under the new Corporate Service Providers Act, otherwise known as the CSP Act, which took effect in June 2025, nominee directors can now only be appointed through licensed CSPs. In the past, many foreign founders would ask friends or contacts in Singapore to act as nominee directors. That's no longer legal. The reason is straightforward. Nominee directors carry real legal responsibilities and remain liable for your company's compliance despite lacking the power to make executive decisions. Because of this liability, CSPs now provide enhanced compliance oversight for the companies they support. That's also why nominee director services are often coupled with accounting, tax, and reporting services. This integrated approach results in better oversight of a company's finances and transactions, helping ensure both the company and the director remain compliant. Next, you'll need to appoint a company secretary. And don't let the name fool you. This isn't someone who just takes notes in meetings. The company secretary is the caretaker of your company's corporate governance in Singapore. They maintain official records, prepare legally binding documents, and act as the bridge between your business and the regulators. This ensures filings are accurate, deadlines are met, and your company stays compliant and in good standing. Understanding the scope of responsibilities highlights why it's so important to work with the right CSP for your company secretary requirements. If you'd like a more detailed breakdown, we have dedicated videos on both Singapore company directors and company secretaries, which we'll link in the description below. Now let's take a look at some of the key compliance obligations you should be aware of. First, a registered office address. The reason you need one is so the government and other businesses have a reliable place to send official correspondence and physical mail. Things like tax notices, annual filing reminders, penalty letters, or even legal documents. If you work with a corporate service provider, they'll usually provide this address and make sure any official mail is received and uploaded to their online platform for you to review. It's your company secretary's responsibility to notify you about important correspondence and to help you act on it. Next, corporate records management. Your company secretary is responsible for maintaining the required registers with ACRA and at your registered office, and for filing timely updates whenever there are changes to directors, shareholders, or beneficial owners. But remember, the company itself remains ultimately responsible for providing accurate information and working with the secretary to ensure these obligations are met. You should also be aware of the new transparency rules, which came into effect in June 2025. These reforms have made corporate transparency stricter. All Singapore companies must now submit detailed registers of nominee directors and shareholders to ACRA, aligning with international anti-money laundering standards. Non-compliance can result in fines of up to 50,000 Singapore dollars or imprisonment. Then there are annual general meetings, also known as AGMs. These are usually required within 6 months of your financial year end. An AGM is a yearly meeting where shareholders review the company's performance, approve financial statements prepared by your accountant, and vote on important matters like director appointments and key resolutions. Think of it as your company's annual health checkup with its shareholders. Next is the filing of annual returns. An annual return, or AR, is a yearly filing every Singapore company must submit to ACRA through the BizFile Plus portal. It updates the government on your company's key details like directors, shareholders, financial year-end, and whether an AGM was held. For private companies, the deadline is within 7 months of the financial year-end. And remember, AR filing is not the same as corporate tax filing. The AR keeps your company's registry information accurate and ensures you stay in good standing with ACRA. Next is GST registration. Here's the trigger. If your annual taxable turnover exceeds 1 million Singapore dollars, you're required to register for GST with Singapore's tax authority, the Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore, also known as IRAS. This is Singapore's consumption tax on goods and services. Your tax advisor will handle the registration, but you need to monitor your revenue so you know when you're getting close to that $1 million mark. Now we come to corporate income tax returns, which are due annually by November 30th. Here's something many founders overlook when it comes to tax returns. Tax is a function of accounting. What this means is your tax return is essentially built from your accounting records throughout the year. Your accountant uses this financial data to prepare the correct forms. Form CS for smaller companies or Form C for larger ones. So if your books aren't accurate, your tax returns can't be filed properly. That's why good bookkeeping isn't just about staying organized. It directly affects how smooth your tax preparation will be. While your accountant handles the filing, it's your responsibility to provide complete, accurate records as your business operates. Here's the key takeaway. While professionals handle the technical details, your knowledge of these requirements gives you better awareness and control when it comes to decision making. Now that you have a clearer picture of the requirements, the next step is making sure those requirements are actually met without losing visibility or control. Here's how to work effectively with service providers while still keeping control over your compliance. First, create a compliance calendar together. Your provider will know the deadlines, but you should track them too. That way you can prepare information in advance and avoid last-minute scrambles. Second, understand what's included in your service package and what costs extra. Basic compliance is usually covered, but things like coordination, complex tax planning, or additional filings often come with added fees. Third, maintain your own simple records. Even if professionals handle the filings, keep track of key changes like new shareholders, director appointments, or major corporate structure and shareholding developments. It makes working with your provider far more efficient. And remember that good communication combined with your own understanding of the requirements always leads to better outcomes. Staying compliant in Singapore means keeping up with key requirements like appointing a company director and secretary, filing annual returns, and managing tax returns. It can feel like a lot, but working with the trusted service providers make the process much smoother and helps you avoid costly mistakes. At Statrys, we provide a full suite of services for entrepreneurs setting up in Singapore, from incorporation to business account setup and ongoing accounting. Our services cover resident director appointments, company secretarial support, registered office addresses, and compliance management. And on top of that, we offer business accounts built for international operations. Ready to set up your Singapore company? Visit statrys.com and click Get Started. Have questions about Singapore compliance requirements? Reach out via live chat, WhatsApp, or email us at support@statrys.com. Thanks for watching.